Hello, Talking Fight fans around the world. Uh, Welcome once again to our special feature that we do here on the Olympics, where we talk all things amateur boxing and the Olympics in the run up to Tokyo 2020. It's a long weekend here in Canada. Unfortunately, we don't have Graham today. You were missing me yesterday, so I know we've been throwing a bit of a wrench into our usual scheduled programming, but I'm glad I've got you guys here today. Just a couple of quick stories to run through on the day. So, currently, as usual, we're going to start off with the actual Olympic Games themselves. Once again, banning all fans from the Tokyo Olympics is still an option for the Games that will be opening in just about 3 weeks now. Now, Seiko Hashimoto, the president of the Tokyo Organizing Committee, released just today, saying now this would be a reversal of a decision that was spelled out about 10 days ago by organizers with their plan to allow up to 10,000 local fans, of course, fans from abroad being banned several months ago as being deemed just too great a risk to the games themselves. So the possible about face is being forced by rising new infections in Tokyo and the appearance of the rapidly spreading Delta variant of the coronavirus, and fears that the Olympic Games as well as the Paralympics, with just over right around 15,500 athletes on top of tens of thousands of judges, coaches, trainers, other organizing officials, all descending on Japan at the same time. Now, the fears that this could turn this into a super spreader event. Seiko Hashimoto said the situation of infection changes and how it will be is still unclear. But from Tokyo 2020's perspective, we also include an option of not having spectators. So yet another decision on fans could be announced next week after a meeting of the IOC. Local organizers with the IOC with local organizers as well as the Japanese government and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. And of course, there'll be the IOC and the Paralympic Committee as well. Hashimoto added that not only are we determined, it's not that we are determined to have spectators regardless of the situation. So the Japanese government's top COVID-19 advisor, Dr. Shigeru Omi, said repeatedly that the safest option is without any fans. And Yukiro Koike, the governor of Tokyo, has suggested today as well that would be her preference as well, saying, we will continue to closely monitor infection situation and think what would be best, and mainly consider no spectators. Now, Koike was speaking at a briefing after being hospitalized for more than a week with what was described as severe fatigue. She has denied that she was hospitalized for COVID-19 and says that she has tested negative. So once again, as this kind of progresses and continues to unfold, we'll be letting you guys know as soon as we know what's going on with the state of fans at the games and what that's all going to look like. Moving on, though, to our next story today, Richard McLaren, who's the Canadian lawyer who's been given the job of investigating corruption within the International Boxing Association, the AIBA, has now made a call for action, inviting information from anyone who has been involved in the sport in recent years. Now, speaking via video link, AIBA at an AIBA press conference, McLaren, whose agency is Global Sports Solutions, who you guys will know produced the 2016 report on the state-sponsored doping by Russia, and last year investigated financial and doping irregularities within International Weightlifting Federation, explained that his involvement was going to be of a twofold nature. The first task is going to be to investigate claims of irregularities in the judging and refereeing during the Rio 2016 Olympics and elsewhere within AIBA competition. Now, the second task is going to involve investigating individuals within AIBA who may have been involved in corrupt practices. McLaren says, our team is established and we've now been working flat out since mid-June. I am confident that the report on the first stage of our work, I will be able to report on the first stage of our work by the end of August. But I want to make a call to action to those in boxing. It's time to speed up this process and to speak out if you have seen or know something that could help us in our investigation. Now, whether that concerns unjust refereeing or other actions, please let us know. Contact us in confidence through our website. Confidentiality will be guaranteed to you in perpetuity. We can't do this without your help, without the help of people who know something about what has been going on in the past. McLaren went on to say, I would not have taken this job on unless I was granted full independence for our investigation. The leadership of AIBA has enabled my team to follow the intelligence wherever it may lead. Let me be very clear. Our role is not constrained by AIBA officials, and we have the right to publish our report in full, regardless of its outcome. Our terms of reference are broad and not just about refereeing and judging at Rio. We are aware that there's a long history leading up to Rio. So whatever the problems may be, they will be put into proper context. We are also aware that previous investigations up to this point have not been fully independent. Also present at the press conference here was Ulrich Haas, another professor and an expert in sports law from the University of Zurich, who will be actually eventually leading the team that will overhaul AIBA's governance based on the findings of this report, having done a similar job in the past for the International Cycling Union. Haas says, "It is an honor to assist AIBA in its governance, and I will be chairing a team of 4 other experts to enable AIBA to reach the highest benchmarks in governance. One of the main benchmarks would be reaching standards required by the International Partnership Against Corruption," adding, "We will be concentrating on issues such as transparency, integrity, democracy, development, solidarity, as well as checks and balances. We will not take any direction from anybody." So once again, a recommitment that AIBA is not actually involved in this investigation. It's more so that they are opening their books to an independent investigation to try to get to the bottom of not only Rio, but the lead up, what the contributing factors were that led up to what's now widely just regarded as a corrupt boxing contest at the Rio 2016 Olympics. So again, we won't be seeing that till August. So between now and then we have the games. So we'll have plenty to talk about. But once the games are done, this is one that we're going to be keeping an ear to the ground for you guys. And we'll be updating you on what their findings are. Our last story today involves New Zealand's heavyweight boxer, David Nyika, and his, bit of a rough buildup to the Tokyo Olympics, and that continues. He had with a scheduled sparring camp with top Australian now on hold because of the pause in trans-Tasmanian quarantine-free travel. So Nyika had planned to have a week of sparring with Australian heavyweight Eddie Kumi, but instead has been restricted to the ring time with local boxers. The 2-time Commonwealth Games champion has had only one fight since qualifying 15 months ago for the Olympics, and that was a 30-second professional bout in February. He also unsuccessfully asked to join up with the German camp in Japan ahead of the games in order to train. Boxing New Zealand chairman Keith Walker says it's been very frustrating for Nyika as they struggle to get training partners for him, saying he's locked in New Zealand and we're only just making up numbers really for him and not quality sparring. Some of those locals that we're sparring with are not really international standard. So he just has to make do with what he has. David is a very focused athlete, and we have good faith that he will be in good physical condition, but it's the competition that's lacking. Nyika is the only New Zealand boxer headed to Tokyo for this particular tournament. So he doesn't have the rest of the camp, a large team and a camp to rely on here. He was also going to be the first male New Zealand boxer to compete at the Olympic Games since Athens in 2004. Nyika started his professional career recently, as you just heard, in February, with a bit of a bizarre first-round knockout win over Auckland's Jesse Mayo as part of an undercard to the Joseph Parker Jr. Fa fight. Nyika collected victory in less than 30 seconds into this fight. So what happened is Nyika connected with an unintentional punch to the back of the head as Mayo ducked a right hook. Mayo went down to his knees and, before being counted out by the referee. Nyika is currently, so again, it was a bit of a weird win. And I won't say it was a contested win, but it's not the way you wanted to win his first fight. That's for sure, with a punch to the back of the head there. But it was deemed completely unintentional, and the win went to him. Nyika is currently seeded number 2 at the Olympic tournament in the heavyweight division. So we are expecting big things out of David Nyika, but we're going to have to wait and see what this lack of proper competition in the lead up to these games and the lack of varied sparring opportunities, I should say, how that's really going to affect him moving into the games. Because it's very easy to take someone who's very highly seeded, and if they've got a lot of ring rust on them and they haven't had a chance to compete, they haven't had a chance to spar, or they're just always sparring with the exact same people, that's the sort of thing that's going to really affect him. And that's also the sort of thing we're going to be talking about tonight. So please do tune in to the Friday night panel, where we're going to be having a special guest, Tim Witherspoon, with us tonight, who was a very famously sparring partner for Muhammad Ali. So we can definitely ask him the importance of the role of the sparring partner in a boxer's training. So please do join in with us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be delving a little further into that topic of conversation. But that's what we've got for you this afternoon, looking around the rings. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. If you're here in Canada, I hope you're having a great long weekend. And we will see you this evening at 7 with the rest of the panel. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll